So after many months, my new website is now live, and I thought I would just give an overview of what I'm trying to achieve with the new website and point out some of the differences and key themes and things that are going on with the new site. So I'm really happy and proud to have launched it. And what I was trying to do is more than just sort of offer just my ideas and my trading style in a course, was to recreate the pathway that existed for professional futures traders back in the day. And as I was thinking over, why, and how professional traders get to where they get to, it sort of got me reminiscing about what was the pathway that existed for professional futures traders. And what struck me was there's a couple of key things that I think are missing for retail traders, other than just the skills that they're learning. There's a few other things. And so with the new website, I've tried to recreate those things to try to build that pathway and actually show a real pathway to professionalism rather than just teach the skills, to show that pathway. So the new website is at the Norden, www.nordenmethod.com. As you can see, we've branded that, and that's after some discussions with compliance and legal and IP people, and the reality that what I do is very different and unique. So it was suggested advice to me that we should rebrand accordingly. So nordenmethod.com is where you'll find the new structure. There are some preview videos on there just to make sure that this is the sort of path that you want to take. I'm not trying to appeal to everybody, and there's certain work ethic and a desire to work at a certain level that you're going to need to trade in this way. So I encourage everybody to watch those videos first before deciding to go any further. The first thing you're going to find, though, is that you can't just buy any of the courses. Okay, so one of the things that I thought about was, if I'm going to recreate this pathway, is I'm using the structure and the scenarios that existed on the floor. So one of the things that happened, so when you came down to the futures exchange, you weren't just allowed into a pit to trade. Now, when I went down to the live floor, I already had 2-3 years of experience as a market maker at an investment bank, and actually one of the busiest and most high-profile markets that there was in London at that time. Yet when I went to the live floor, I wasn't just allowed into a pit. Everybody, when they first went to the exchange, had to wear a yellow jacket, and you had to pass a series of modules of tests before you even allowed to take a pit exam. Those tests were designed to make sure that you understood the product. What are futures? How do they work? And so when I was thinking of this pathway, I thought, well, often, retail traders, are just going out there, just buying a course. But how do we know that they actually understand what futures are? And often their understanding of the product may be flawed, and that can cause issues and it can cause losses. For example, if you don't understand settlement procedures or expiry rollovers, those sorts of things, they can cause problems. So what I've done is, the first thing that you will see in the first stage in the pathway is I'm slowing everybody down and saying, before you can buy a course, you have to pass the yellow jacket test. So there is a free course, which we call the yellow jacket course. And it's essentially the basics of futures. What are futures? How do they move? How do they work? A little bit about the exchanges as well. And at the end of that course, there's a test, and you have to pass that test before you can even see what the courses are. So you can't see what the courses are until you've passed that test. So what that means is, we know that everybody that goes on and is thinking about buying one of the courses that goes on after that has passed that yellow jacket test. What's interesting, in the first couple of weeks that I've had the website up, is there are people that I know are reasonably experienced futures traders who have been trading for a while, who have taken 3 or 4 attempts to pass that yellow jacket test. And I think it's actually probably a real eye-opener for them, and I think it's really good. It shows me that I'm slowing them down, and that they can't move on until they've demonstrated that initial understanding and knowledge of futures products. So I'm actually really pleased with how that's going. And again, it's designed to basically filter out people. It's designed to slow you down. There's nothing about the way that I'm creating this pathway that's trying to speed up the process. And I think that's a real problem for retail traders, is they just want to learn something and go out there and do it. So I'm slowing them down. So the first thing you have to see and pass is the yellow jacket test. Now, I would say that if you can't pass that yellow jacket test, you shouldn't be trading futures. So as I said, some people have taken 3 or 4 attempts. That's fine. At least they've now, when they by the time they get to the point of buying a course, what we know is that it was too early for them before, and they had to go away and do some more study and come back. So the yellow jacket is the first step. And also because I generally don't teach and haven't taught newbies in the past, this is now creating a pathway right from new people. So if you're very new to futures, start off right at the beginning. And again, there'll be other people out there who sell courses and will just sell to anybody. What I want to say is, if you're a newbie, let's get the basics knowledge first. From there, the pathway can go a couple of ways depending on your experience. If you are a newbie, then I have what's called the blue button course. So, on the exchange on life, the next step, once you passed your PID exam and you demonstrated that you were able, you understood futures and you were able to operate in a market. The next stage was you wore a blue badge, a blue button, and essentially you had to be guided and overseen by a more experienced trader. So here in the blue button course, I'm not teaching specifics of trading skills. What I do with the blue button course is essentially be a guide to a new trader. How do markets work? How do the platforms work? What sort of problems might you have with the platforms, entering and exiting orders? What type of order should you be using? What should your role be as a small trader trading like a local on a futures market? So I'm acting like that guide, an experienced trader looking over your shoulder and just guiding you through before you start trading, explaining the pitfalls that can happen to you, what problems you can encounter with platforms, what sort of platforms you should be looking for, all the things that I had as a young trader. Before I even started trading, I had experienced traders who were essentially telling me all these things, explaining the craft and the skills that I would need to develop. And that's even before I started, learning my trading skills in a way. So I've recreated that. And that again is the sort of path for newbies to move from yellow jacket to blue button. If you have experience of futures trading already, you can miss out the blue button course, and there's no test after the blue button course. And as I said, it's optional. And then essentially we go into the market making style of futures day trading that many of you will know that I teach. And there are now basically 2 versions of that. So the first version is what we call the silver badge. Why silver badge? Because once you'd passed your blue button and you'd shown that you were good enough to operate on your own in a market, then you started to wear a silver badge. So the next stage is a silver badge, and the silver badge is essentially my market making style futures trading course. But generally it's in sort of text only, although it's not just in like a Word document presentation. It's now on a proper learning management system. So it's far more visual. There are a few videos on there as well to explain some concepts on there as well. There's a lot more graphics and graphical interpretations as well. And there's a lot of additional information than, for example, the previous market making manual. It's been expanded quite significantly. So that is the core course, and there is a test at the end of that course to test people. Now, also there is what I call the red jacket course. The red jacket course has the same textual information as the silver badge, but what it also has are slightly, I think, over 40, maybe about 4 hours of narrated videos explaining many of the ideas of the course. So this is the difference between the red jacket and the silver badge. The red jacket has these narrated videos. This is the first time that I've made them public. I've done that because the software of the learning management system is such that they can be protected, and I can track, and they're very difficult to copy, but I can track them. So for the first time I've put these out there so that people can see narrated videos, and they're not just mine, they're from a number of people, and I narrate the good, the bad, and the ugly during them. Like I say, there's over 40 videos of various lengths between sort of 2 or 3 minutes and 20 minutes. And I think it's over 4 hours in total. So obviously it's a higher price point to have the version with the videos, and that's why we offer both. At the end of the red jacket, there's also a test. It is a longer test than at the silver badge, and it is a more difficult test as well. But the thing about this test is, if you pass the red jacket test first time, then I will send you a real Norden Method Red Locals trading jacket, a bit like the one in the backdrop here, but it's a real one. They're made in Chicago by the company that made my Life Floor jackets. They have our emblem, the Norden Method emblem on the back. They are real jackets. And what I want to show with that, it's more than just a demonstration that you've achieved the sort of highest level that there is in the course. I want to sort of demonstrate to people that when you're trading with your own money from home, you are a local. And again, this comes back to that pathway to professionalism. Most of the methods that are aimed at retail traders using technical analysis, they're very much retail types of trading. I want to show how professionals operate, and I want you to think of yourself like a modern day local. So I want to bring back the red jackets that locals wore. And that's what I'm trying to do here is bring that back in that view and make you think about yourself like a professional local. The testing, people ask, well, why do you have exams and tests after them? I think there's a couple of things. Firstly, studies have shown that if you're going to be tested on something afterwards, you're going to learn it better. You're going to spend more time and you're going to spend more concentration in learning that. So obviously I want people to learn to the best of their ability. So having tests means that hopefully people will learn it harder because they're going to take a test. It also, though, I think it's a good way of making sure that you understand the concepts that are in the course. And normally when people sell courses, it's hard to really gauge whether the students are actually understanding it. So by testing, we can see, and you can see, where your strengths and weaknesses are, and whether you've understood to the degree that we would want. So that again, and it's all again about slowing down and making people think harder. So that's the structure, and very much again about creating a pathway to professionalism. I'm really pleased that already we have one broker in the US who's come on board and are offering quite big discounts actually on commissions for students of the Norden Method, and those commissions are kind of tiered. If you've passed a silver badge exam, there's one rate, but if you've passed a red jacket exam, the rates are even lower. And that's recognition not only of the quality of the course in that broker's eyes, that the fact that they think the course is really good, but also recognition of the fact that people that have passed those exams and studied that hard, they believe are the sorts of clients they would want. So they're encouraging them by offering them pretty good deals. And going forward, those sorts of member benefits are things that we're really keen to develop more. And it seems to be some good appetite in the industry from firms who are keen to offer these to our members, understanding that this is a more professional method. And I should say here that I don't get any recompense or any affiliate deals with these firms. I am asking for things to be passed on to my students, and I'm just really pleased that people are offering that. The last part of the course, of the website that I'll talk about is what I'm calling the exchange. The exchange is only available for people that have taken either the silver badge or red jacket courses. So essentially only for students that have really learnt the course. And the exchange is optional. It's subscription based. There's a quarterly subscription. And what I sort of call the exchange is it's like a living addendum to the course. So rather than keep adding little bits of the course, the exchange is where I post new ideas or other ideas that I've had. Also things like book reviews or things like that I can add to it. The exchange will also be where students can send in their trading videos for me to go through and narrate and add up there so everybody can see. And also your trading stats. If students want to send in their trading stats, I'll analyze them, explain their strengths and weaknesses. So this is going to grow into quite a considerable area, the exchange. There's also monthly meetups on the exchange. So the third Sunday of every month is what we've designated to have these monthly meetups. They're recorded and then also uploaded as well. So if you can't actually make it live, you can see the recording. Again, they take the form of Q&A, but also I'll give presentations as well. And also, if there's anything interesting going on in markets, particularly futures markets, that I think that is something that needs to be explained further, I will from time to time record something and put it up there. Maybe even get some industry professionals in there as well, and question them about some of these things as well. So the exchange is where over time is going to build, grow and grow into sort of a living addendum to the course as well, and also where, as I said, students can send in their videos and their stats and let me go through them. So if you're, and by doing that, the students can each learn from each other as well as they hear me narrate and talk about the strengths and weaknesses. And there's already a couple of those in there. And I look to add, at least two or three new items to the exchange every month. So really excited by the new website. There's a lot of work been spent on it. There is more to come. We have a lot of ideas that are up my sleeve that I'm keen to get out. But I encourage you to have a look at it. I think it's pretty unique. So have a look at it, nordenmethod.com. You can register there as well. And I look forward to welcoming you on board and hopefully seeing you soon.